All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Coleman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. I have my latest and most enthusiastic guest as of yet. Okay, Mary Tia, all the way from Kerry. Kerry Kefir is her product. Here she is. Mary, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Mary Brosnan, yeah, and I make a wonderful product called Kerry Kefir or Kerry Kefir, however you want to pronounce it. And yeah, it's a natural probiotic basically. So it's packed full of beneficial bacteria and yeast for your digestive health, for your immune health, helps you absorb your vitamins and your nutrients more efficiently, gives you more energy. Yeah.
That's
So
it in a nutshell. But I want you to suppose go peel it back. How did you start on this journey yourself of making a product that is so well? What I enjoy the taste, but I don't even want people to trust me. I want them to try it for themselves. But yeah, how did you start on this whole journey? Like, it's a great product, firstly, for its benefits. But how did you come across it, or how did you initiate to make it?
so I had been diagnosed with IBS like years ago, so in my kind of mid-20s, and I was just controlling my symptoms through diet, mainly, and that was kind of helping to a certain extent. But then in 2017, so I was about 32 then, I discovered a nutritionist in Dublin that was talking about milk kefir for IBS symptoms. And so I said, you know what, I'll buy the grains from her and I'll try it myself. So I bought the living cultures. They're like a SCOBY, basically, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So I bought it for myself and started making it at home. And honestly, like within a week, it had made such a difference to my digestive symptoms. Like I actually couldn't believe it because I had already done about 6, 7 years of controlling my symptoms through diet, but just adding this one extra thing had made a huge impact, like within the week. So I was started telling everybody about it. I was like, have you heard of kefir? Have you heard of kefir? And like some people had heard of it, majority of people hadn't heard of it, but the people who had heard of it had started making it at home themselves, but had given up after a couple of months because it's like having a pet. You have to feed it, you have to look after it,
A
you have
child.
to make, yeah, it's like you have to make sure that they're happy and that they're performing their duties basically as well. So I started looking at the ones that were available on the supermarket shelves and noticed that none of them were made using the living cultures like the scobies. They were all made using powdered bacteria that's made in a lab, basically. So I decided to move. I was living in Dublin, so I moved back home to Kerry and said I'd set up the business. Yeah.
Amazing. Fair play to you. And that's something that's what has changed up your diet. What symptoms of IBS had you, I suppose, try and relate it to other listeners who haven't do something
Yes.
like that?
So basically, my main symptoms were very poor digestion. So I couldn't really actually digest my food. So anything I ate, I would feel really bloated after it. I would get cramps in my stomach. I'd fluctuate between constipation and diarrhea. So like I could be constipated for a couple of days, and next thing, in click of fingers, it could change to diarrhea. And you could be out and about like in a restaurant or something and that could happen. Like it was just awful. But when I went to get diagnosed, well, I went to get tests done first, I'll say, and got diagnosed with IBS. The consultant prescribed me tablets. He didn't mention one thing about diet, literally just prescribed me tablets. I was 25 like at the time and said, here you go, take these before every meal for the rest of your life.
Jesus, that's
Yeah,
absolutely unbelievable.
yeah,
Like, food is medicine, and
yeah.
it's it's not to badmouth anybody. It's the fact that when you start to do eat real foods and beneficial fermented foods such as kefir with your
Mhm.
meals, it can majorly change your whole overall life.
100%. Like, and interesting point on that one. So when I decided there's no way I'm going to take this tablet, like I just, I was young, I was healthy, like I was fit, I had digestive issues, but I was like, I'm not going to add a tablet into my diet. But so then I did a lot of research on how do I control the symptoms? And there were certain things, all right, that would trigger the IBS, but a lot of the stuff that's talked about obviously is fiber rich foods and whole foods and everything, which are amazing, obviously. And I try, that's the path I was going down, and it certainly helped, but I still had digestive issues, even, eating that fiber. And the reason is because I didn't have the bacteria in my system to actually break down the fiber and to help me break it down and absorb the benefits from the foods I was eating. So even though I was able to somewhat eliminate my digestive symptoms through diet, because I didn't have the bacteria in there, I still wasn't getting the benefits. I still wasn't solving the issue, basically. So for me, definitely my issue was lack of bacteria, or an imbalance in the bacteria in my digestive system. And
Yeah.
so once I introduced kefir, like, it just changed completely.
What I want you to do is, I suppose, maybe expand on good and bad bacteria for people who don't know a lot about it, and I suppose that being your area of expertise with your Kerry Kefir product, just to let the listeners know a little bit about the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. We kind of, just before the likes of we hit record, we're talking about content for yourself, making a good angel and a
Yeah.
bad angel. That might be, well, it depends if she goes with it or not. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that one. So yeah, like, we all have good and bad bacteria in us, like naturally on our skin, inside, from the mouth all the way down into your digestive tract. So like your gut, it actually starts in the mouth. So the mouth is considered part of the gut, so gastrointestinal tract. But bacteria all the way down that actually, so the good bacteria, we want more good bacteria than bad bacteria. And what happens is, if the bad bacteria actually overtakes the good bacteria, you're going to have symptoms of digestive upset. And we're not just talking like bacteria like, say, Staphylococcus aureus that will give you a sore throat. Like, that's like a bacterial infection that you get from like colds and flus and things like that. Well, that would be more virus, but anyway. So you know what I mean, like the bad
Yes.
bacteria that's naturally in our system, if they actually override the good bacteria, then we're not going to actually digest our food properly at all. And
So how, just to stop you there and slow you down, break it down for people who are listening and watching. The point is, how are people consuming foods, or what foods are consuming to boost the bad bacteria? So what are
yes,
the bad ones?
sugar.
There we go.
So bad
That's what I wanted you to say. I
bacteria.
wanted you to say that. So
Yeah,
I teed you up there, lovely.
yeah, you did. um, Bad bacteria love sugar. Yeah. So, and in the gut, they will actually ferment that sugar, and that sugar can actually almost mimic like alcohol as well. So it can really affect the liver. It just affects your whole system. So, sugar and processed foods. I mean, processed foods just aren't even real foods, So, you don't have the bacteria in your system to break them down. And if you're not feeding the bacteria, the good bacteria in your system, they're going to die off. So if you're eating loads of sugar, you're killing off the good bacteria and you're allowing the bad bacteria to thrive. If you're eating lots of processed foods, you're not feeding your good bacteria. So again, the bad bacteria are going to thrive. And so you really need to reconsider the whole diet side of it, like not diet as in losing weight, but diet as in what you're eating.
Yeah, the foods you consume. Right. So those
Mm-hmm.
are the things you want to take out: processed foods, added sugar in as much as you possibly can. So how do we encourage the good bacteria, and what do we have to eat?
Yeah, so like, first of all, for me anyway, coming from my history of IBS symptoms, and basically, so if we all probably have some bit of processed foods in our diet, right? Look, in the Western diet, and people taking painkillers, tablets, medication, sugar, chocolate, everything is affecting affecting the good bacteria population. So we need to put back in the good bacteria with fermented products like kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, even kombucha. And then you want to feed them when they're in there, which is like your fibrous foods. So fruits and vegetables and whole grains. You want a variety of them. So the key is diversity. So you want a diverse set of bacteria, and then you want to have a diverse range of foods that you're feeding that bacteria. So one particular type of bacteria will love the skin of apples, and then another particular type of bacteria will love broccoli. So you really want to feed them all. So you want to get as much diversity in your food as well as diversity in your bacteria, if that makes sense.
And that's a great way of putting it. I've talked a lot about it, I suppose, and wrote about it in the likes of the book. But the thing is, everyone's different and everyone likes different things. And mentioning the likes of a skin of an apple or the likes of broccoli or Brussels sprouts that are coming into season now, coming up to Christmas, both in the same family, but would have different, I suppose, fiber content in it to feed different beneficial microorganisms. So with the likes of those that are pre and probiotics, so the probiotics are the fermented foods, as you well know, and the prebiotics are the foods. And for someone that's dyslexic, I don't know why they put it so close, pre and probiotics. They might just come up with a completely different word. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that's great. That's great for you clearing that up for people.
Yeah, like it makes, when you actually think of it that way, that first of all, you need to have the bacteria in there, and then you need to feed the bacteria. And it's by feeding them that you actually allow them to thrive in the gut. And like the bacteria in fermented foods, most of it wants to actually stay in the gut. Like they don't want to just pass through. They want to stay in there, and they want to colonize the gut. So they want to actually latch on to the walls of the gut and protect you. Like they want to protect you from certain bad bacteria from getting into your system.
They want to line the gut. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they want to line it, and they're actually like a wall of defense in your gut.
I suppose that's how you most certainly healed your gut, with the likes of those fermented foods, such as the likes of kefir. What way do you currently consume it, or would you even recommend to customers to have it? What way do you have it on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I find personally, for me anyway, first thing in the morning works best, because I can just work it into my routine better, so whatever way you can fit it into your routine. So the more consistent you are, the better the results that you're going to see, obviously. So I always say you only want small amounts on a regular basis rather than a large amount irregularly. So yeah, having a small amount every day will actually help you to build up that microorganisms in your gut far better than having half a liter one day a week.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so like, because exactly that. You don't do all your eating all in one day. What you want to do is space it out throughout the week.
Yeah.
Really, an awful existence if we had all our food all on a Monday and a Tuesday and had nothing until the next day.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
that's a great way of putting it. Little and often, and consistency is most certainly key.
Yeah.
And since I've been trying the product, I've been literally making it. I don't know what other ways you use it, making literally smoothies with it, absolute game changer. With that being a combination of people trying to get in, because that's what people struggle with sometimes. Well, man, I struggle with time. I don't know how to add in as many fruits and vegetables as you do. Making smoothies is a
Yeah.
game changer. Okay, I'm not a major fan of juices, because juices take out the fiber, which is the beneficial part of a fruit or a vegetable that bacteria in our stomach feed off. So making a smoothie, which contains all the fiber, is literally just blending it and putting in the likes of your kefir, fermented, all into one. Your apples that are in season right now, natural, and one of the top 10 natural prebiotics, with maybe some celery and or whatever kefir as we're touching on here now, and even beetroot juice would be a classic.
Yeah, unreal. Exactly. And like doing it in a smoothie type situation and working that again into your routine, it just becomes part of your process then. And once you're starting to feel the benefits of the fiber that you're feeding the bacteria, you're not going to want to go backwards. You want to go forward all the time.
Yeah, because when you do improve your gut health, you people can literally feel the difference in increased energy levels. Like that is an amazing thing. And since I've come across your page and been sampling the product myself, literally recommend it to people who are like, cool, man, my energy is totally different. And that's down to literally prebiotics and probiotics in combination and consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it makes such a difference. And like for people as well, I mean, anyone who has digestive upset, like acid reflux, bloating, cramps, constipation, or diarrhea, definitely needs to look at it from a holistic point of view, everything together, like your, activity levels, your food that you're eating, what's triggering these symptoms and all that. But actually, as well, obviously focusing on diet. But for people who are currently, you know, they don't feel like they have any digestive upset or any digestive symptoms, they're so surprised by how much energy they actually get from adding it into their diet, because they're now absorbing their nutrients more efficiently. So it's helping you break down your food more effectively so that you're not using as much energy to break down your food, and then you're absorbing all the nutrients and then you have more energy. It's, yeah, amazing.
Food is amazing when you eat, and suppose things that are helping you to improve on your what specific area of health. And more often than not, people are looking for more energy, and it does come from food. But most certainly, having a combination of the good stuff, as I love to say, feeding your beneficial good bacteria on a regular basis is going to be the game changer for the likes of your health. So I know you're based down in Kerry, and what is the process, I suppose, of, and where do you get the product from? It's raw. You're making it from, as you said, the likes of the living SCOBY, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, exactly. So the kefir grains that we actually use currently in our production came from my original teaspoon that I made, or that I bought back in 2017. So it's the same, yeah. So
Same one.
yeah, it's the same one, yeah. So basically because when you're feeding them, they're living organisms, so they're growing and multiplying all the time. So again, as long as you look after them, the more they'll grow and multiply. So all the grains that we have came from my original teaspoon, like, and we have we have a lot of grains. Yeah.
What type of specific type of grain is it? I'd love to know a little more about that.
Yeah, so it's not like it's funny why I don't know why they called it grain, because it's not a grain like we would know a grain. Um it stands like SCOBY stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, right? So nobody really knows where they came from, right? But they originated in the Caucasus Mountains between Georgia and Russia over 2,000 years ago, right? So yeah, so the shepherds there used store milk in goat skin or goat stomach bags, right? So they used store their milk in those,
Yeah.
and they used it as a method of preservation, you say. So the goat's stomach bag would preserve the milk. And so what I think happened was that there was bacteria on the inside of the goat stomach, and so it was that bacteria that was actually preserving the milk. And gradually the bacteria and the yeast strains came together and formed these little colonies. And so they had formed these structures that grow and multiply themselves. And when the people discovered these structures, they kept it secret for years because they thought they were magic. They thought they were like magic beans, basically. So they passed them down from generation to generation, just keeping it a secret. Yeah, and then the some Russian official got wind of them and demanded that they be made available for all households in Russia. But then once the commercialization of the product happened, the grains kind of, you know, the grains stayed in families, but in order to make kefir more commercial, they came up with the solution of powdered bacteria. And so that's how it became so commercialized, really, like to be able to mass produce it and make huge quantities of it. But that's where it gets diluted then, you say.
Ah. And
Yeah.
another thing that we just haven't touched on more so is the fact that also your product, Kefir, Kerry Kefir, is in a glass bottle. And I'm a firm believer in all things glass reusable, because the toxins that can be leached from plastics into the likes of whatever beneficial product it is. It's great to have that. I just worth mentioning, because people who haven't come across it as of yet, just to say that it is in a glass bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the fermentation that we do as well. So because we use kefir grains, you have to protect them at all costs. Like you can't let them be contaminated, basically. So we use all glass jars, glass equipment to ferment. So that's, we have to do it on small scale, you know, small batches, because of that, and it's very manual. So currently there's no commercialization or commercial equipment for the way we're making it. So that's why it's so handmade and so manual. And we're the only ones in Ireland making it this way.
Love it. I'm so glad you even said that. Now, here, what I want to also know is there anything that we've, I suppose, haven't touched on in the likes of this podcast so far, that you would like to maybe let the listeners know a little bit about the benefits or your product or how you make it?
I suppose just maybe the bacteria side of it. So, like, because the grain itself, right? So the kefir grain is the star of the whole show, basically. So they can have up to 30 strains of beneficial bacteria and up to 10 strains of beneficial yeast. Whereas, say, your commercially made kefir will have maybe 10 strains of bacteria and they won't have any yeast at all. So the grains is where you get the most potency from, the most powerful product. But saying that, you're still going to get benefits from the commercially made one, and the same with yogurt. So yogurt has about 5 or 6 strains of bacteria, which are all really beneficial, and we actually need all of them. So we need the yogurt strains, and we need the strains that are available in kefir as well. But the commercialization of it can actually mean that some of those strains aren't actually present in the product because they've used basically freeze-dried bacteria. So the question is, have they all reactivated upon fermentation? And that's the question that I have, which doesn't get answered. But anyway, so when you use the actual living organisms, you know that what you're getting in the end product is alive. What's in there is actually alive, basically. So it's a powerful product.
You're getting your best bang for your buck, and most certainly when you're getting from Kerry Kefir, looking at it and keeping them alive. Yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I suppose a great way. I want you to tell, I suppose, the listeners, where do you have your product for sale, or where can they most certainly get it and get their hands on it to try it for themselves? And I'm all for, even coming up to Christmas right now, just before this podcast comes out, like making actually healthy hampers is a great idea for people because you can incorporate in. I would definitely recommend it, Kerry Kefir, but try it for yourself to put it into a hamper of all different foods that literally can improve people's health, because people are sick and tired of getting the pair of socks and the jocks at Christmas time with the reindeers on it. It's time to switch it up and add in more healthy things that they will most certainly use, or if not using currently, should be using. So yeah, that's a tip for people, listeners, to add in more healthy hampers to their shopping. But for Christmas, but what and where can people get hold of your product as of today?
So the best place would be through our website, really, to have it delivered direct to your door. So that just ensures obviously that you get the freshest product. You'll get the one that's most recently made, basically, so from the production facility, and it's direct to you so that we have direct contact, and we can, if you have any questions at any time, you can always ask. And we love, like, obviously connecting with customers and stuff and answering any questions. But then in Kerry, we are in the super values in County Kerry at the moment, so we're in all 9 super values in County Kerry.
Go on, absolute legend. And
Yeah.
on top of that, places for people to contact you directly, not from the website, either your social medias. What were the handles?
Yeah, so it's at Kerry Kefir, so Kerry Keroy and Kefir Kefir.
Absolutely brilliant. I'll be putting all those in the likes of the show notes. And I suppose you're a mind of information. I did majorly love the beneficial tip you gave on. The kefir comes from grains found in Russia way back when, in goats' stomach skin. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Now, they still don't really know where they originate, as in, like, they don't really know how they came about, but they definitely used to use the goat stomach bag. And I reckon that that's where they would have cultivated and formed themselves. Yeah.
Amazing. So that is a classic way to most certainly end this podcast. And I suppose I always end the show by saying, stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic.